3, 2, 1. So, before we get started, a quick disclaimer. Do not take anything that I say seriously, including what I just said. So, welcome to the podcast. This is my first episode. I'm your host, Jay. And the name of the podcast is Before We Die. And the logic behind the name is simple. Me and my dear guest today, we're both going to die. So, we might as well talk about something important with extreme honesty. And talking about honesty, I have no idea what I'm doing because this is my first podcast. And I've always wanted to do it for quite a long time, but I never did and I procrastinated. And the reason why I'm doing it today is that at the beginning of this year, I made something called a bucket list. And a bucket list is a bucket list with a shorter deadline. And I made a list of 100 things that I want to do before I die. And I gave myself 4 years to do it. And one of the things in the list is to start a podcast. And one of my really good friends was kind enough and awesome enough to know that and also make me an early birthday present, which was to book this same studio where we're right now for today to make my first podcast. And so here we are, kind of knowing what we're going to do, but absolutely
no fucking idea.
No fucking idea. So without further ado, here's my lovely guest, Barbara.
Hello. So lovely to hear my own voice, not yours, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it was the intro. That's just how I think podcasts are supposed to start. But anyways, just a quick background. We know each other for 15 years, and most of the time during those 15 years, the topic has been love, sex, and relationships. Not that we've had any of those things, but that Guy has had a lot, and I've had a few.
Between each other.
Between each other, yeah.
We've had a lot of the other
we
things.
We are very platonic, and we're actual friends. Even though, like, she's banging. You just gotta keep it clean, you know? If you have a good friend, you don't want to ruin it. You can get sex anywhere, but you can't get good friends.
I see a very loaded topic there already.
Yeah,
you should
loaded.
not have sex with your friends.
Oh, absolutely shouldn't. Absolutely shouldn't.
But really, like, why? Why do you want to do a podcast? Why?
Okay. Ooh, okay. You want the meaning behind what we're doing.
I need
Sound like my ex-girlfriend.
I need a concept here.
Why? Because that's what I do all the time in my life for the past, 15 years. I enjoy talking to people. The difference in a podcast is just that most of my talkings has been done without recording. Some I've done with recording, but that includes video.
I can see from your eyes how kinky that is.
Anyways, so yeah, I enjoy talking to people and I enjoy talking to interesting people. And because I travel quite a lot, there's been so many cases where I've had conversations with people. And after the conversation, I feel like, if I would have captured this would have been gold. Like for myself, for the person, like for in future perspective, and also for other people, because funny enough, like the more I travel and the more I speak with people, you just start seeing that the problems that they tackle in life are mostly the same. Which is kind of interesting and sad, because you can be in Mexico, you can be in Georgia, in Spain, in Norway, in Estonia, in somewhere in Africa, and people are struggling with the same issues. So it's like problems are something that unifies people. So I really like to tackle problems. And that's what I want to do with this podcast.
Understood. Why I wanted to have this talk and why I suggested that it's relationship, it's not because I'm like a freaking expert on the topic. It's just, I've said that as well, and I've told you this, and I've told everybody when I intro you or when I introduce you to someone, it's always like, okay, this is my friend Jonas. Every person that I've ever introduced to him has left the conversation, well, first crying, and then and then second thing, kind of feeling that they have some kind of like new direction in life. And of course, you know, a few days ago when we met, you came back to Estonia, you you know, like we said hi, and your first question is like, okay, I can see it from your eyes. What is it? What is it? Like, tell me. And I'm like, hey, man, like, give me some bit of small talk, you know, give me a little bit of like, hey, I'm doing great. And, you know, job like works great and blah, blah, blah. No, he's just like straight into it. Like, you know, open your freaking heart and start talking about it. And of course, the next 3 hours we talked about relationships. I don't want to talk about relationships. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to like open up.
Nobody does, and that's the issue, and that's why you're supposed to open the door that nobody wants to open.
That's true. That's why I'm actually wearing sunglasses. You can't see that in a podcast format, but I'm wearing sunglasses so this freaking motherfucker can like like stare into my soul.
Yeah. No, but my point is that, I mean, I say we're all gonna die and stuff like that. I understand it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. But what it symbolizes is that people like to create this illusion that they have so much time in life, but that's not true. And also, even in a very, very small time frame, like we meeting, I don't want to go through 1.5 hours of talking about absolute garbage and the weather. And I just lived in England. I talked about the weather enough and drinking tea. I don't give a fuck, right? So if I see you have a problem, that's where my brain goes. It's easy to be happy or describe to other people what it's like to be happy. Oh my God, there's a puppy and there's a cat video. Nobody gives a fuck. Everyone can get that. But people are alone in their problems. And that's where I come in.
That is. I like just a little bit of background, right? Like, yeah, we've been friends for a long time, but where do we actually, like, where are we coming from? Because I don't think our friendship, like, basis on like getting together every time and just talking about problems. And we, you know, I
think it does.
No, it doesn't. We went to school together for 3 years, so yeah. I think that's where it started. And I always kind of, I think I appreciate that a lot. That, you know, since the days I was young and stupid, we would still have those talks, and we would carry on like 15 years, right? Like kind of getting together and looking into each other's souls, and mostly you looking into my soul, of course.
Mind I add, I was also young and stupid, but we still managed to have those conversations.
Exactly. I wanted to get to that this is not just like, you know, you like kind of having it, but I have seen you like gathering this information, knowledge, experience, whatever. And I know where you're coming from. And I think that I feel special now, right? That I actually know that, and very differently from me, you went to like a real traditional, like I was like, oh my God, Jonas is like the best, coolest person that I've ever met during school. And then after school, I was like, so what is Jonas doing these days? Oh yeah, he's like in a committed relationship, and he's like doing a career. Love it.
Yeah.
And then at one point, you just exploded, went crazy. When like I was just like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, or like, you know, kind of like breaking out from the box or from the bubble. I don't know whatever you call it. And I was like, yep. This guy's speaking from experience, and that's why I think we're having this freaking podcast, because it's not that, oh, I've read a lot of books and I've got some theory to share with you. We've actually been through some shit. You know?
For sure. And so, it's like, I think it's like out of, I mean, I don't have many friends. Not that I can't have, I just choose not to because most people are garbage. So we know it, like there's nobody in my life that is still here that was with me during like high school and after that. So you're the only person. So
just saying hi to Kaido here. Bye.
Ouch. Anyways, yeah, you have a point there for sure. And what you described there, that there was a period where I went traditional. That's literally the period when I was in a committed relationship, because I mean, when you're like 18, 19, I mean, you're kind of stupid because your brain is not fully developed and you don't know what you're doing. So most likely you're going to go with the values that you were brought up with.
I just want to do a disclaimer here that I did not talk to you at that time because you just seemed really boring.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm glad that
no, relationships do make people a little bit more boring. Not boring, but more limited, because you do have to consider your partner quite a bit. And if you have a partner that like I had, then there's no talking to other people. Yeah, I was in a relationship for 4.5 years since I think I was 18 to almost 23. And as soon as I finished that relationship, the thing that you described where I suddenly appeared like Phoenix from the ashes, that was just me telling to myself, fuck all the values that I thought were right. I'm just going to do everything that I think I want to do. I'm going to do everything that I don't want to do. And then if I do all of those things, I'm going to do 95% wrong, but I'll find that 5% where I'm going to be like, okay, that's me. And that's what I've been doing for the past like 10 years almost.
And that's what I was trying to get at. You are my prototype that I share with people. If I talk to people and they say, oh my God, I'm in a relationship that's, not satisfying. I'm in this job. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, hey, let me tell you about my friend Jonas. You're like the extreme case, right? But this is the story that you need to be inspired by. The story that people usually are just too afraid to take.
Yeah.
Just quit all and see what it is that actually is what you want to do.
Yeah.
What are the values that you want to live by? And, you're going to talk about it later, like fucking complete honesty and brutal honesty.
I always like to say that it's way more difficult to be honest with the people who are close to you than random strangers. If you actually just ask a simple question from someone, especially when you travel, you meet so many people that that, you're just going to meet and then you're not going to meet again. And that setting gives so much freedom for honesty, because if you know someone, if it's your mom, your sister, your brother, your partner, and you're honest with them, you need to deal with the consequences tomorrow, right? But if you meet someone who's a stranger, then you kind of have this get out of jail free card that you can be honest, just unload yourself, and then off you go with your life. There's no consequences. And in that setting, people really, really want to have an honest conversation. And it's kind of fucking sad how many people I meet who have nobody to talk to. Like nobody. They're surrounded by a big family, really loving friends, but it builds so much pressure because in that big community, they feel so much pressure to be someone that they sacrifice being themselves for the role. They are the daughter, they are the partner, they are the wife, they are the girlfriend or the boyfriend. They suppress themselves so much that they stop being honest to the outside world. And then they just fucking ache from the inside. And then I come along and it's like, hey, hello, how's your relationship with your mother? And then they're like, how dare you? And then they answer me.
And then they start crying. And
oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I know it's interesting because I'm thinking that I really want to come back to this loneliness topic.
Oh, I bet you do.
Yeah, but also with kind of like, with the brutal honesty, and I'm totally there with you. So hard to talk to people that are close to you. So easy to talk to strangers, right? So
yeah.
Especially being a woman,
there's a lady.
There's a lot of this that happens when girls get together. There's a lot of this, oh my God, this happened in my relationship and that happened in my relationship. The guy did that. And then you kind of think, okay, but when is this information getting to your partner, right? Like it's so easy to talk to your girlfriends and your girlfriend's like, yeah, he's a motherfucker, you douchebag, whatever. And you're like, yeah, but when are you actually going to go to your partner and say to him that he's a douchebag?
So many people bitch about their partners, and so many people like belittle their partners. Why do you want to belittle someone that you're together with? Because however small you make them, that's going to be your partner. It's not that they make themselves better because they're not confident at all. They're extremely self-critical and they're extremely insecure. But the way to make yourself bigger is not to make yourself bigger, but is to make your partner smaller. And you're just going to end up... It's like Jordan Peterson says it's fucking awesome. Yes, I said his name, by the way. He said it really nice. It's like,
hi,
don't treat your wife as a maid or a stupid bitch, because then you're going to be married to a maid who's a stupid bitch, right? You don't want that. It's like, why would you go the opposite way? Just take some responsibility, put in some effort, and work on the relationship and try to get to know your partner instead of Like there's a chance that you will get to know your partner and then you're like, okay, I got to know you and this is not going to work. And then you can break up in a mature way instead of just bitching about it like you're 14.
One of the things what we did before this podcast, we actually started to ask our friends, share us some conundrums, some issues,
let's
some
not
challenges.
call them friends. Random people who follow us on Instagram.
Okay. Anyway, the idea was that, we will ask people in our circle to share some relationship issues that they would like us to discuss. And I thought that this is a great format. People would like to, talk about what they do and what's kind of on their mind. And the one thing reading the responses that was bothering me is that, and I've been kind of, during, I don't know, maybe COVID times, maybe just I have too much time to think. But my recent focus point has been, you more often than not are the toxic person in that story. And people don't want to get that. They don't want to share when they're the asshole. They always want to share, and I do that a lot. When there's a conflict, when there's a issue, when there's a story, you think, okay, I am the one that got hurt. I am the one that, really suffered. I told you these stories when we met as well. Oh my God, this thing happened. I was so hurt. I was crying on the streets. Can you imagine? And
that is true. I heard the story.
So you kind of think, okay, so I want to hear the stories where people actually stand up and say, hey, I'm the toxic one here. I'm the bad one. I'm the douchebag in this story.
Yeah, but the issue...
And no one wants to do that.
Of course not. Because if someone gets hurt and they have an emotion that they're like, ooh, they go instantly that I'm the victim and there's a person that hurt me. And the fucked up thing in a relationship is that there is, right? There's always someone to blame because you have a partner. That's always why I say that it's really important to be alone, because once you go single...
You never go mingle.
No, once you go single, you don't have that person next to you all the time who you can blame. And then you go into more like self-destructive emotional roller coaster blaming yourself, which is way better than blaming someone else, because then at least you're confronted with yourself. And you will never overcome relationship problems when you think that someone else is in control of your emotions.
Totally agree. There is this moment where you really need to survive on your own. You really need to struggle, right? And I did this, and not even with, like being single, being out of a relationship, but I needed to feel that I'm outside of this family bubble. So, that was the easy question or easy answer, right? Like, I'll fly off to Australia and I'm gonna go and do a course in teaching English. But, the course ended up me sitting on a Bondi Beach and crying most of the time in Australia, which was great. But, just because it was so hard. It was so hard being outside of this, kind of comfort zone. And you have your family, you're part of a community of school. And, everybody else went off to university. And they're, sending me, pictures of them partying. And, yay, we're still here, the exact same group. And then only in hindsight I realized, okay, that's the only way to break out from that comfort zone. You just remove yourself, and that's not a nice place to be. Like, no one loves you, right? You're on a Bondi Beach crying.
And it's like if you're questioning something like in yourself, you can spiral down, because often people are like, they leave and then they're faced with themselves, and then they realize that, oh, first of all, I don't really know myself. Second of all, I really don't have any values. Third of all, I cannot think about anything precisely, and my emotions take control of my life. And then they go like, oh, boom, I'm just going to go back to where I'm from. And often people do that because I'm not blaming them, but that's the easy way out. My issue with people is that they are not independent. They are dependent on their friends. They're dependent on their partner. They're dependent on their family. They're dependent on their job, emotions, anything outside. It's like people outsource the most important things. It's like emotional fiber, right? Oh, I want love. I'm going to go to emotionalfiverr.com, and then there's this guy in India selling it for $5 an hour. So I'm going to outsource being loved to there. And then I also don't want to think about death. I'm going to outsource that to Canada, to this guy for $15 an hour. So eventually, all of the most important parts of your life that kind of control your daily functioning, you outsource to somewhere else, right? And even if you talk about a business that outsources everything, you're not going to be in control of your system anymore because it's random fucking people offering you services that don't really care about you. And that's why you need to have all of those you need to understand what the fundamental parts of your life are and take control of those things. And that's where personal responsibility comes in. Let's start with the basics. If you complain about anyone in your life who is in your life, it's your responsibility, because no one has the power to choose the people in your life other than yourself. So if you have, it's a bit more difficult with family because you were born into a family and you have a mom and a dad and a brother and sister. But if you choose your partner, that's a conscious choice. And then afterwards, Barbara, but if you choose your partner and afterwards you start bitching about your partner because 3 months has passed and now they're not,
come on.
they are not what you thought they were. No, but really.
No one is what you think they are when you meet them.
No, okay, here's my point. Here's my point, and we have talked about this.
Except
when
I am
you
perfect.
when you get a job, right? When you get a job, you get hired for your CV and you get fired for your characteristics. And relationships are exactly the same. Because when you meet someone new, you're going to hide everything from your CV that you want to dump. And then you're just going to amplify. Oh, I speak 3 languages. And then I worked in this company and then this company and this company, right? You make yourself, it's almost as if you send a representative of yourself to the relationship to get that person. But like the truth is going to come out sooner or later, right? And then 3 months later, 5 months later, whatever, 20 years later, you're going to get fired because of your characteristics, but you can never hide who you are.
Come on, what's the other way around? You go to a company because, what is represented to you, and you leave because of the people.
Yeah,
but this is it. You go there because you see, oh my God, Tinder profile, great. We go to one
that's
date.
fine. That's fine.
You leave because you don't match.
No, but that's fine. That's also acceptable. However, let's say I go to a company, right? Which I did, and I left. I didn't blame the company for anything. There were bad people. There were bad bosses. There was everything to also complain about why I left. But I left because I chose to leave, right? And it's about the mentality. People who quit their job and then blame the people in the company or their boss are the same people who quit their relationship and blame their partner, because the same fucking quality that they have is that they cannot take responsibility for the decisions. Because did the company call you randomly, hey, just a random call, do you want to work for us? No, you sent your CV to a company, right? And if you didn't put in the hours to find out where you're fucking getting the job from, that means that you got the job too early and you didn't understand where you were going, and afterwards you blame them for it.
Yeah.
It's a level of maturity. I'm just saying that there's one thing is personal responsibility, and another thing that I wanted to talk about, but we're not going to get into today, is extreme ownership of responsibility, which means that you consciously take responsibility not only for your own actions, but for the actions of people around you. Not that it's true, but because it's healthier, right? So let's say if you have a partner, it doesn't matter if it's their responsibility or your responsibility. It doesn't matter if it's you to blame or them to blame. You just take all of it, because the person who gets influenced by those situations for you is you, right? So it doesn't matter even what the truth is. If you get emotionally hurt, you should just take extreme ownership of everything that happens around you. The issue why people don't do that is that they don't have the capacity to do that, right? Most people don't have any capacity to have a close relationship. That's why you start blaming other people, and it's always someone else. It's the same outsourcing problem, If you outsource everything, you outsource love, and you get hurt, the problem is there, right? If you go to Fiverr, and
Fiverr.
it's like, oh, it's a good example. It's like, I want a logo, right? And then you go hire this guy, which is your choice. And you take the cheapest fucking one because you have no money, so you want to save money. And you hire that random guy from the middle of fuck nowhere. And then they send you a logo and you're like, well, this is fucking garbage. I hate that guy. I hate Fiverr. It's a shitty platform. Fuck this. You chose to use Fiverr. You chose the cheapest price. And people do the same in fucking choosing a partner. Let's be honest. People are not confident enough to actually have standards, to appreciate themselves enough, to aim higher than they think they deserve.
I really like that point, and I think it's exactly what you said, and I'm going to reiterate it and like mansplain it or womansplain it.
Personsplain it.
Personsplain it. It's exactly what I was thinking. I don't know a lot of people that would complain to me that they can't find a partner, and the only ones that do are the ones that actually have standards.
But that's the truth.
And no, I'm just like, exactly. I'm just like, kind of burying myself here. But really, like, no one has a problem finding a partner. There's people out there. Like, go ahead. Like, just pick one. Make babies, whatever. Then there's like, but this guy actually is a bit weird. And he has those things.
The issue is that you can go and test drive every fucking car you want because everyone wants to sell you a car. Then you go test drive, you sit in the car and you're like, oh, I don't know how to drive.
I know that it's such an unoriginal topic, but this kind of society's rules, what we're all like kind of brought up with, and we start with the fairy tales, and then we listen to the songs, and then we watch the movies, and then we read the books, and it's all there. You gotta find the missing piece. And it's a person.
Yeah.
He's the perfect person. He's my best friend, and he's going to help me raise kids. He's going to be there understanding each of my tiny little emotion that I have. And you put this burden on one person and you don't realize it's not feasible. It's never going to happen, right? Like, you need to have friends like we have a friendship, right? Like, you need to have that person that you can, you meet over a few months and they look into your eye and they say, yeah, go on. Like, just give me your problems. I'll deal with them.
Daniel Sloss said it nice, which is that it's like a jigsaw puzzle and the centerpiece is missing. And if you don't have that centerpiece, you're incomplete.
Yeah.
Right? And that's almost how we're brought up, saying that you cannot be complete without someone by your side.
At the same time, of course, like, relationships are the essence of life, I would say, but just the mind shift from there's this one person that you need to find and they're like missing from your life, versus you've got friends, you've got family, you've got workplace people. I think they're called workmates.
Sometimes they're all the same things all in one.
Sometimes they are, but just understanding that there is a fucking community around you that you need to build, not just put your eggs in one basket.
I think that's what people really lack, and I see people really lack that. And the saddest thing is that if people meet someone of the opposite sex and they have a good connection and they could be friends, they instantly fuck it up by having sex.
That's a really good point, right? I think there's definitely some kind of like, there's like this point, and when you go over it, then you never go back. And I think we just had that because we were just, met in high school.
Yeah, just to be clear, never had sex, never kissed, never done anything, because friendship is way more important. Girlfriends and boyfriends come and go. Fact. Friends stick around to help you get over the trauma caused by your boyfriends and girlfriends. But really, you should... Did you just cheers yourself?
I did.
So I think you should really invest more in friendships. And if you keep sex out of it, it also simplifies it. But the issue is that most people are controlled by sex because they are kind of addicted to it, or they can't
get it.
It's an also a valid point. So if they can get it, they will definitely go for it without actually thinking whether they should. in the year 1900 we had 1 billion people on the planet. Now we have 7.5. That's 122 years.
What great statistics.
It is. How did we get there? There's only one way.
Fucking.
Yeah, fucking. And let's be honest, most of them weren't married.
Get into as many freaking relationships as you can. Like, try it out. It's going to be so awkward to break up. It's going to be so awkward to have these conversations. Like, this is exactly what I was trying to say before. You know, if you want to be on Tinder, don't be there to look for your greatest next match. Go there to practice rejection. Take relationships as school. Don't take them as like, oh my God, this is my next person that I'm going to marry and this is like the big love that I'll be waiting
Also,
for.
I agree.
Because that's the only way to learn. The only fucking way.
Agree. I will add something. Tinder is amazing in the same way like fast food is amazing and water is amazing and drugs are amazing. It's just that people don't have self-discipline to use those things in a reasonable manner. They take Tinder and they go like, how am I pregnant? Because you don't have any self-discipline. I went to McDonald's and now I weigh 20 kilos more. Yeah, self-discipline, right? You can even drink water so much that it's bad for you. Rejection is extremely a bad thing to experience, but you need to get used to it, because if you don't get used to it, you're going to be controlled by it, right? You're going to do so many things that aren't right not to get rejected. Let's say you're a girl and you're afraid of getting rejected. What's the first thing you're going to put on the table not to get rejected? Your body.
Boobs. Okay.
Yeah. And for the guys also, I don't want to get rejected. I know this sounds stereotypical, but like just go out on a Friday in any fucking city and this is what's happening. If you're a guy and you don't want to get rejected, what do you put on the line? Your fucking bank card. That's it. I know it sounds stereotypical and very bad, but that's what people do, right? Because you're afraid to get rejected. You want to believe things about the world, and then the world functions the other way.
And I just want to come back why I'm joking about this, but this like kind of metaphor of like, you know, being at the ocean and looking at it, it's derived from my own life, right? Like I sat there in Australia looking at the ocean thinking, oh my God, I'm so far away from my home, so far away from my friends, and you know, like the ocean is crying with me. And then kind of slowly but surely understanding, but the ocean does not give a fuck. You know, the ocean does not care about your emotions. Like the nature is not like there to say, oh, shh, 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 I'm so sad with you. No, it's just the world is going ahead with its rhythm. The fact that you feel emotions is just your own problem.
Oh, of course.
No one, like the earth doesn't care. No one cares. And that's the only, like the most freeing thought that I've ever had is that you accept that you are totally alone. And
For sure. I fully agree. Like there's a difference if you're alone or you're lonely, right? I'm alone. I've been alone all of my life, right? But I've never been lonely because from an early age I was alone. So I just accepted it and I started working on how to be alone. And you just understand that it's not a choice. It's whether you accept it or not. Being alone is kind of like, is gravity real? You know, you can't change it. Gravity is real. But whether you accept it or not, or whether the earth is flat or round, there's the truth. You are alone. There is gravity and the earth is round, right? And some people are like, I'm not alone. And then the earth is flat and I don't believe in gravity. You cannot not believe in, I mean, you can believe that gravity is not real, but it still functions on you. Let's take it one step further. It's not that you're only alone, but also you are absolutely meaningless.
Yes. Yeah. I like that.
And I've had this conversation with so many people and then they go like, but my mom said, you know, they go into individualistic approach, but you can see that individualistic approach gets so much people putting so much pressure on them that they think so highly of themselves that they will never do anything, right? And there's beauty in like even you sitting at the fucking beach, looking at the waves and understanding that like, I don't matter, right? The waves were there 200,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago, right? You weren't there. Humanity wasn't there at some point. There were other species on the planet. The planet went through all kinds of shit without humans being on it. And like you literally don't matter. No, the thing is that humans just want to find meaning in things. You know, oh, there's a face on Mars. No, there's just a bunch of rocks that look like a face on Mars. Mm-hmm. You want to find connection and meaning that benefits you in life.
Tell me one thing that is wrong with it.
Oh, let's say you find a partner, right? And you have a void in your life, and that partner has one quality out of many, just one quality that fills that void. You're going to fall in love with the partner because you need that partner to be by your side. There's like 5 qualities that are neutral, 3 qualities that are absolutely dangerous that you won't even notice because you're going to amplify that one quality that you really need, which can be physical connection, it can be financial security, it can be whatever the fuck, the family that you never had. But that's what humans do. It's like you want to connect to things that you need. So you don't really love your partner. You love what you want them to be, and you love that one quality in them that represents the void in your life.
Okay, but isn't that true? That like you talk about this filling the void, but I see, and I think I derive from my own experience that you fall in love first of all in your own, like you see yourself in the person, and you're like you fall in love, and then you start seeing, okay, but what are the things that he's missing?
I think you see parts. Missing? I think you see parts of yourself that you want to connect to. But the fundamental part that drives you in a relationship is the thing that you miss from your life. It doesn't make me sound really good, but I've done loads of tests with girls, even with guys, just to approach them and to find out really fast what is their void in their life. And then I become that void. Not that I am. I just chameleon myself to be that void. And as soon as I just open that door a little bit, they're just absolutely under my control. And it's fucking sad. It's really good for me if I want something from them, but it's just they don't know how to handle it because they've never experienced something like that before. Listening to other people is kind of like, it's like a compassionate, like a good quality to have. But if you're a people's pleaser, you can listen and you can help other people so much that you're going to fuck yourself up. Another thing that I see so much, which is that like you're brought up in this environment where people say like, of course you need to be considerate. Of course you need to listen to other people. Of course you need to try to handle, it's like, you know, you're like the master of puppets and you try to make sure that everyone's fine. And I see it so much more with women. Maybe it's maternal instinct, maybe it's something biological, maybe it's something from the environment. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that women try to take care of so many people that they shouldn't take care of. And they're just mostly shitty guys. That's where most of their relationship problems come from. It's like, if you're too young and you don't know what you're really doing, because as you said, you need to get into relationships and you need to learn, right? If you're in that learning process, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. If you put your values into it, and your values are, I need to take care of other people, what about yourself? Because then you're going to be like 25, 26, 27, and you're absolutely fucking broken. And then your brain goes like, how could this happen? Because I lived an honest, true life to my values, which was to take care of other people. That's your partner, whoever, right? Maybe you have a dog. And then you end up broken. And then you're going to be like, how the fuck did this happen to me? And the answer is that your values are right, but they are incomplete. That is just one important value to have. You should have way more important values by the time you're 25 or when you're 30, because otherwise you just haven't evolved enough. And mostly people are taught to be like, hey, people are good to you. People want the best for you. Just accept everyone and let everyone in. It's like, what are you? It's like emotional, mental whoring. Let everyone in. No. People don't care about you, because how can someone care about you if they don't even know you, right? There needs to be time and effort and everything that goes into it. So if you meet a guy, let's say from Tinder or whatever, the only reason how that fucking chain of events is going to lead up to you getting hurt or whatever is that if you let it happen. And most likely if you let it happen is that you don't know what you're doing and you're not confident enough. And my practical advice to you is that just expect the worst from people. Like really, because it's their obligation as a guy to prove to you that they are worthy. But you also need to understand that you are worthy, because if you don't think you're worthy, that's where the true problem lies.
Honey, you are worthy. You are, baby. When I go on Facebook...
What's that?
I go on Facebook, that's the old people's thing.
Yeah.
I go on Facebook and I'm just like, holy shit. Like the last person in our high school that I thought, like, you know, that was the like lowest of the low, like, you know, on a 1 to 10 scale, they were like -11. And they're like, oh yeah, I just had my second baby with my great wife. And I'm like, okay, so please tell me, like, brutal honesty, are you actually happy? Like, where is this coming from? Like, I need to have a rant here. You know, like, I'm talking to the single people out there. I'm talking to the people that don't have kids and they're over 30s. Like, really listen to me. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yes.
You just have really high standards, and
Amen.
I praise you for it, and I appreciate you for it, because the world is not built on those freaking standards that have been put into your fucking head with the fucking I don't know anymore the words.
I'll just
It's
take
just the
over. It's
books,
like
the music, the movies,
Yes.
like everything. It's like conditioned. This is the life we live, right? Like, please give me a planet where I have time, where I actually have time to experience, to be in relationships, to actually build some kind of world view where I can take my career and my thoughts and like sit at the ocean and cry for a little bit of time before I have freaking kids. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm ranting right now. I'm just saying, get your fucking relationship experience
It's
in
okay.
before you
Yes.
get a kid.
Yes, so let's try to get it into practical advice. It's like, first, kids are not supposed to have kids.
Yeah.
And the definition of a kid does not come from age. It comes from mental maturity. You can be 40 and you shouldn't have kids. Having kids should be like having a driver's license. You need to pass an exam and then you get a license to get a fucking kid based on IQ, financial stability, and a fucking common sense test of what it's like to be a parent. Most people would fail, right? We put more effort in society to proving that can you drive or can you not drive? Everyone can have a fucking kid, right? And everyone fucking does. And unfortunately, the more educated you are and the more educated women become, the less kids they have per family. So the less educated you are, you're more prone to be religious, you're more prone to have more kids, and that's where the fucking society drives towards.
And what does that say about education?
That says,
And what does that say about religion?
oh, well, that says that those systems were extremely well built for long-term
They
stability.
are fucked up systems, yeah.
Oh, I don't think they're fucked up systems. I think they are absolutely brilliant systems. Anyways, yeah, so the first point was that it's okay to be single. It's okay not to have kids and just be an individualistic woman. It's okay to never have kids because you can value yourself. And if you don't have kids, you're not less of a woman compared to women who have kids, because they're going to just, women are fucking vicious, right? Let's say you're 40 and you don't have kids, and then someone comes with fucking 5 kids and like, you don't have any.
Oh,
I have 5.
Here, Jay is talking about women and how they should feel like when they're 40.
Oh, because I...
What a white man thing to say. We've been through the 20s, and
Yeah.
really, like, it's such a transformative age. And I remember it, and I've mentioned this, right? Like sitting at the ocean, listening to the waves and crying. But I think it's the best metaphor for 20s, when you kind of like, you just... you just like place yourself somewhere in the world, and everything that's around you, and in that metaphor it's the ocean, right? You just absorb it. Whatever emotion is coming at you, you just absorb it. You're just like, okay, the ocean is sad, I am sad, and you do some reflection and whatnot. But then 30 to 40, that's when you start taking yourself away from that absorption place, and you're just like, okay, so not everything that surrounds me can affect me anymore. And you just choose the places.
Yes, it's you personalize your fucking life.
Exactly. And you're just like, exactly.
20s is to find your limits. You gotta push yourself because you have the energy to fuck up.
Yeah.
You push yourself, and then you find you do so many things wrong, and then you go like, that 5% is me, and that's enough. And then you take that 5% into your 30s. You personalize your life. And then you build from 30 to 40 in that way. And by the time you're 40, you're going to be more you than you were when you were 30.
That's it. And the most important part is when you're 30, you realize that your hangovers are not as sweet as they used to be. And you're just like, okay, fuck that.
In basic game design, that's a principle of justified punishment. You need to have rewards and you need to have punishment. But most in your 20s, early 20s especially, you have so much rewards, but the punishments, you don't really feel them. At the beginning of your 30s, you'll start feeling the punishments. So you need to be smarter with your energy. You need to be smarter with your health and everything. So it's like nature knows what nature is doing. Nature just knows.
You know, that night
Hallelujah.
That night when you spend drinking tequila shots when you're 22 is a totally different night that you spend drinking tequila shots when you're 32.
Of course, you have way more money to do it.
You have,
So we made an Instagram poll, and people could send in their problems about their relationships or just crazy stories that they have. And we're just going to give our extremely friendly feedback.
I just want to say as a disclaimer that I'm going to 100% like, you know, take my inner Barbara, my inner alter ego, and just like...
Let's just take it 20% truth, 80% humor. Or the other way around. We'll see. Okay, so first one. I love this one. Nothing changes after convos. I'm just going to... I think this is a guy because he didn't even finish the word conversations. He shorted to convos. And if this is the way that you talk to your girlfriend with one basic sentence, of course nothing changes because you didn't even take the effort to write out what your problem is. You said, nothing changes after convos. Dot. That's it, right? That's your problem there. You need to put in more effort. You know why? Because it's your problem. It's not hers. If you break up with her and you're going to go to the next relationship, you're going to come across with the same problem because the next person is going to tell you the same thing. Next question. Wait, this makes no sense. I was frustrated, couldn't find a single woman to chat, make out, but it's only that you're doubting your own self, the problem, and doubt. Okay, first of all, your problem is grammar. If you need to explain your problem to someone that you don't know, at least put effort into grammar and try to explain what your problem is, because it's like, if you don't get the small things right in life, how the fuck do you expect to get things right in your fucking relationship?
What is the actual issue? I didn't get it.
No, the issue is that I was frustrated, couldn't find a single woman to chat or make out with, but it's only that you're doubting yourself, and then you can't build your self-confidence because you're in the cycle of like, I can't get any action, and then you're not confident. I can't get any action, and then you're not confident. But like, I think the smallest parts in a person, they show what the bigger problems are, right? If someone doesn't use there's zero like punctuation or commas or anything in the sentence. It's like, you got to pay attention to small details. And when it comes to your partner, or when you go out and you meet a girl, because this is definitely a guy, 100%. If you meet a girl, first of all, don't promote yourself. Don't try to make yourself better. Girls don't care about who you are. Just try to listen, because that's what they don't get from anywhere. That's what I do. Works 100% of the time. If I go out, right, People are like, oh, Jonas, what's your strategy? It's so successful. You know what I do? I don't do anything because I let the guys do the work for me. Because there's always the prettiest, hottest, smartest girl in the room. And what I do is that I do nothing. Because all the guys know who the prettiest, hottest in the room is. And then they go after her. And then they say the stupidest shit. And I'm just there looking, oh, that guy's a moron. Definitely said something stupid based on her reaction. And then all those 10 guys go and ruin her evening. And then I go in and just say something about her. And she goes like, oh my God, he listens. He pays attention. And there I am. And that's how the conversation starts. And it's basic stuff. It's like, don't make it about yourself. You can be not confident and insecure, but just like, it doesn't matter if it's a girl or your mother or your sister or your brother or your friend. Learn how to fucking listen without having a reply. Just actually listen. Okay, I'll take someone has written about their friend. I have a friend who is in a very toxic relationship. Her boyfriend doesn't allow her to go in a club or to see other friends or guys. And every week it's the same stuff. And he cheats on her, but she has to be in home and can't do anything.
I'm so bored.
Why
No, but the thing is,
are you in a relationship with him? And I know that this is some kind of like a issue that you think you have, but really the only issue that you have is yourself, baby. It really is.
I know. For me, I also go like, obvious, like, what are you doing? However, if a person writes like that, and if someone is in that situation, it's not about giving them a solution. It's about trying to understand what situation they're in. And like, she's in trouble because she probably thinks that she loves him.
But
You're
really,
extremely critical about the person or things that people write. That's coming from me.
I am really critical because why is there a trend that their issues are, oh, my boyfriend doesn't allow me, or my friend's
because
boyfriend?
Most people have average fucking problems.
I'm just
Here's
trying to-
one.
Yeah.
The sex is bad, but I don't dare to tell him. And it's weird to just break up because of that. It seems superficial. This is a real problem. Doesn't matter if they're 18, 15, 30, or 40. That's a real problem from a real person. Imagine if you were 18 and you wrote this fucking thing on this podcast and you wanted to get
Just
some
one of
feedback. And then there's someone going like, you motherfucker.
It's one of the things that I want to get out there. When we started this, I was really excited about this, this kind of concept of people sending in the problems, and then we're kind of like, solving them and talking about them. And now I just want to say, I don't fucking care. Like, your problems are so useless. And
Okay,
so
I can see.
the rant is coming on because I am thinking, if I would be in that situation, I would also be in the exact same conundrum, and I would be thinking, hey, I just I don't want to be the person telling him or her, and I don't want to be like hurting her feelings and stuff. But in the end, it's just that brutal honesty that you talk about always. It's just
Yes.
like, get drunk and then go home,
Go for a drive.
get drunk, practice your speech, write it down, go home, and before she can say or he can say anything, just say, hey, I have a speech, and then just say all the things that you want just in one A4 letter format. You will feel so much better. And I would never do that. I would never follow this advice, but really just write it down, go have 2 shots of tequila, and then just do the speech.
Okay, you got me. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about those stories either. It's just that we kind of took it in, and I felt like responsibility, like, oh, people send in their problems and then we need to solve them. It's good that you said it out because I can wrap up all of the problems that were sent in, because there was quite a few and we didn't go through all of them, but there is one solution to all of them. Be honest with yourself and then use words to your partner and express it to them, and then see what happens. Because here's the simple logic that will never fail you in life. If you are honest to other people around you about yourself, and you actually reveal who you are, if they leave, good. if you actually reveal who you are and people disappear from your life, thank fuck. There is not a single problem that honesty cannot solve or honesty cannot fix. But the issue is that often it's not a simple fix and it's not an instant gratification fix. It's going to take a bit of time. And to solve it, you also need your other part or your partner or your family member or your friend to be in the same boat with you. So start practicing being honest. Like really, if there's something in you, you know what honesty is. If you have a problem with your partner, actually tell them. There was many problems that were sent in that were related to sex, for example. It's like, be honest about what you want. Be honest, because there is no way from hiding it, because if you're not honest, you're not going to enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you suppress a part of yourself. And if you suppress it, in the long term, you're going to build up resentment towards your partner, and then you're going to hate them for your own fucking mistake, and then you're gonna be like, oh, he doesn't give me that, she doesn't give me that, and all of that. So it's the worst advice you want to hear.
I also have advice. It's extremely difficult to be brutally honest.
Oh yeah.
And you have given me this advice all the time, and I constantly keep failing at it. But I know now what is the advice to actually know if you are being brutally honest, because it's not always easy to control, right? Because you always want to kind of,
sugarcoat it.
Yeah, you sugarcoat it. The way to know if you're actually being super fully brutally honest is the level of satisfaction you have after saying it. Yeah. If you say it, you think you're honest, and you kind of feel still like, oh, a little bit like awkward, you were not being fully honest. If you have said fully, like, blood is everywhere, kind of honest way, afterwards, you actually feel really good.
You feel like a relief.
And, yes, because and that's the psychopath thing, that you feel you've said really hurtful things, and you've, kind of should feel bad about it, but you feel good.
It's definitely a difficult dynamic that I've also struggled with, because honesty will hurt someone. Yeah. Sometimes, mostly also you, but also the person that you're going to be honest to. However, I've also seen that if you learn how to deliver the truth in the right way, then it's going to open the door for the other part. And they can also be like, oh, I can also be honest about things that I've suppressed. And it's just going to, it's going to elevate your relationship like to another level. So yeah, I guess to wrap all of this.
I want to summarize because I've got two.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Barbara summarizing. Drum roll.
Barbara wants to say one thing that I have not, reached the expert level, which is from Jay. Brutal fucking honesty. You have to say things the way that they are. And I'm still going, trying to achieve that expert level. Brutal honesty, 1. And 2, accept that most of the times you are the toxic one. Be prepared to say that you fucked up and accept it. And it's okay. You are the toxic one, baby. Just 2 things. Brutal honesty, you are the toxic one. And you get a long, long way ahead in your relationships.
I will double whatever she said, because it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I think in a relationship, it's kind of like quitting your 9-to-5 job and starting a business. Starting a business is like honesty. It's really fucking scary. Quitting your 9-to-5 job. Oh, I get €1,000 a month or 2,000 or whatever the fuck the amount is to pay your rent and take care of your family or yourself, right? But if you start a business and you pull it off, there's no limit. There's no upper limit. And that's what honesty is. It's like you don't even understand where your relationships can go if you pull it off. So the risk is worth it. Take a risk.
I love the business metaphor, though, because if you fail, if you bankrupt, don't you worry, you're going to have another business.
Of course. Because how many people are successful with their first business?
Of course.
Exactly the same amount of people who are successful in their first fucking relationship. 0. So I guess relationships are like businesses. Most go bankrupt. However, you look up to the successful ones.
Yeah. And to add to that, just keep your friendships where they need to be.
Yeah, prioritize friendships. And that's why we're friends. And it's like literally, it doesn't matter what's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna break this motherfucker. Unless we decide to be in a fucking relationship.
Which I'm not too sure if we're there yet. I don't know if how long this episode should be to actually like kind of get to that vulnerability and point where we start loving each other. But I love you anyway. I can't express this enough. Like I've been ranting about a few things, but I can rant about you just being like the same thing that I started with. Like if I need a prototype for people like breaking barriers and really showing what it is to live by the values of freedom and live by the values of, kind of not giving a fuck about everything, but just giving a fuck about, this is Mark Manson, by the way, but giving a fuck about the really important things. It's just you. It's just always, it's you. It's so weird to say that, there's someone in my life that I don't talk to you every day. I don't talk to you every week. I don't talk to you every month. I don't know. Sometimes maybe we've had, years apart.
6 or 1 year apart, and then we just.
But it's just like we meet and it keeps going, and I really appreciate this. And now we're in the flow, right? Like I could speak to you and sit with you for hours. And I know that we're wrapping this up, so I'm like getting like really teary, and I'm hoping that there's some ocean behind me. But really, I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate your advice. But the only thing that I think that you have to give to the world in whatever format and medium, if it's a podcast, if it's a YouTube video, if it's a post somewhere, or if it's just, like the words on your tombstone, then I think you just have to, you have to give you. It's spectacular.
Aww.
It's just one of a kind. And I really appreciate you as my friend. And it's not only, the wine that we drank talking right now, but I'm really happy that you're here.
Aww.
And we're here and we had this talk, and
So am I. Like I express those things in statistics, like, oh, I only have 3 close friends and one of them are you. Oh, which pretty much means the same thing coming from me. But it is
data.
It is the data. But it's like but that's the thing about honest, like what you said right now means a lot to me, because yes, we're doing this podcast and whatever the fuck, but starting this podcast and like what it represents to me, like in future perspective, the value that you provided for me today is like you can't put a price tag or like any kind of thing. It's like that's where friendship is built upon. I wanted to do it for such a long time, but I never did. And the fact that I have loads of friends, nobody paid attention or made this as a present for my birthday. Here you are, right? So it's about the actions that the closest people to you take. Like now we're here. We're not going to fall back from that. It's been 15 years. And we're still going strong. And that's absolutely fucking awesome. So I'm going to tell you something that I don't tell people at all. Thanks.
It hits hard.
But
I was going to say, it can fall down from that level that you showed. Like when you kill someone, like it kind of...
I think you would understand. Because I would justify that they deserved it.
I guess so. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Cheers with the empty glasses of water. Cheers. I think it's time to wrap it up. It was a good one. We got a mix of being kind of formal and a mix of just fucking screaming into the microphone. Also, the end part, Barbara, as always at the end of the podcast, you can promote yourself. Is there any links or YouTube channels or Instagram where you want people to find you?
I just want to promote, oceans and sitting next to them and crying. No, there's nothing to plug here. It's just I am like, this is my expectation for after this talk. 10 years has gone by, your calendars have gone crazy. 10 years have gone by. Jay is professional with podcasting, YouTubing, creating content, and really making the world a better place. And then he releases like a clip of this talk.
It's going to be this clip, and it's going to be this
And
clip.
it's gonna be this clip.
So now whatever you say next is going to be so important.
And now for the future generations that are listening in and all the fans that Jay will have at that point, just go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Yeah.
Hashtag Anchorman.
On that happy thought, it's time to self-promote myself. And the thing that I mentioned at the beginning, I also started YouTube. So it's called Before I Die. And in that channel, I'm going to do 100 videos of the 100 things that I have on my bucket list/bucket list. So in the next 4 years, I'm going to release 100 videos of crazy things that I've done. So far, I've managed to learn how to play the drums in 2 weeks, hiked an active volcano, moved to Manchester and saw Manchester United for a full season because
And
I'm
not
a
have
fan.
sex with his best friends.
Oh, that's also true. And I ran a marathon and a couple other things. So if you want to see what I'm going to be doing next, then make sure you find me on YouTube. I'm going to put the links in the description. And yeah, it was a pleasure. And I don't even, so much hearts. I don't even have to lie. And that's the thing about good friends. You can tell them good shit and you don't have to lie to them to make them feel better, but you're actually being honest.
Kisses.
Ocean.
Bye.
See you in the next episode. Over and out. Peace.